Welcome to another episode of eCommerce Insiders, a journey to success, where we dive deep into the stories of innovation and entrepreneurship when it comes to e-commerce brand building. Today, we're honored to have Eric Bandholz, the visionary founder behind Beardbrand. Eric's journey is not only about creating a successful men's grooming brand, but it's a testament to building a business driven by passion and the pursuit of enjoyment. From challenging societal perceptions of bearded men to mastering the art of organic content production, Eric has navigated Beardbrand through the evolving beard market with remarkable strategies and insights. Let's get into the episode. Hey, Eric, thank you very much for coming on eCommerce Insiders Journey to Success. Really excited to talk to you today. I know just based on what you've been able to accomplish, you're going to bring immense value to the listeners today.
What's going on, man? How you
Love
doing?
it. Bringing the energy.
Got to bring something.
Absolutely. And I know you're going to bring a lot of information too, and really excited. Before we hop into the weeds with everything, why don't we give the listeners just a background of who you are and what you've been able to create over the last decade plus, I believe?
Yeah, it's been a long journey. I'm Eric Bandholz, the founder of Beardbrand. With my two business partners, we've been able to bootstrap Beardbrand to a multiple seven-figure business and just kind of do it on our own, selling men's grooming products. So obviously products for your beard, but we've grown beyond the beard over the years. We've done it debt-free and through profitability. I had a couple of wins over the years. I was on Shark Tank way back in 2014, and I'm the dude that's on the ShipStation commercials. If you watch cable TV, they seem to still run that. But yeah, it's been a fun journey. I enjoy the ride, which I think is maybe a little bit different strategy than most entrepreneurs have. I'm not trying to build this for a destination. I love the product, love my team, I love my customers, and kind of want to like shift the perception for a lot of entrepreneurs out there on how you should build a business.
And I think that's really key. Working with a number of e-com companies, it does seem like the goals vary. We have certain brands that we work with that are exactly like what you say, like, hey, we just love what we're doing. And then we have the clients who come in who immediately are like, hey, we're trying to exit in 3 years. This is what we're going to do it with. And this is what our goal for acquisition is. And I think it's a really interesting approach to hear both angles of that. I believe the passion is what drives the success, not necessarily how much money can we dump into paid ads to generate a positive return.
Yeah, I mean, it's there is no right or wrong way to build a business. Just from being in the game for so long, I feel like the overarching story in entrepreneurship is always about the exit. Everyone talks about John Doe sold for X million dollars and congratulations, or raise money to go big. And I think the other pathway needs to be shared as well, because the reality is you're spending, in entrepreneurship, if you're awake, you're pretty much thinking about your business, or at least I am. And you want to be enjoying that. And there are things you can do that make it more enjoyable and less enjoyable. Now, you're always going to have problems. Like, that is the name of the game in entrepreneurship. The problems never end. So it's about figuring out how to have problems that you enjoy solving, and then working on those problems, and then doing it for the rest of your life. Because why not?
Yeah, exactly. Why not? Now, give me a little bit of backstory. So, we were just briefly talking offline in terms of the beard market in the men's grooming industry. What was it that kind of captivated you to say, hey, like, Beardbrand is what I'm going to do as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a whole wake of failed projects behind me before Beardbrand. Beardbrand was realistically the first successful project that was sustainable. It kind of checked all my boxes for what I was looking for in a business as well. I wrote out a checklist of like my passions in life, and it was important for me that my business kind of checked a lot of those, or all those passions. Freedom being up there, which is one of our core values. Freedom, hunger, and trust are our 3 core values. And, to build a business that I enjoy doing. The other thing that was kind of important to me was trying to build a business that didn't require me to be running it all the time. So thinking about how to build a business that could grow while you're sleeping, or you could get orders while you're sleeping, which I think is just the coolest thing ever. Like the first order you get when you're asleep, you're like, I did nothing and money just came in, which is not something that happens when you're a doctor or a lawyer or an agency where you have to trade your time for money. Now both can make you very wealthy. So it's not one is better than the other. It's just kind of what you're looking for in life. So we started Beardbrand way back in the day. I used to be a financial advisor working at a mega bank, and they have a certain expectation for how they want you to look and dress, and I didn't align with those values. So I quit working there. I grew my beard out, and in that process, everyone called me Duck Dynasty or Grizzly Adams or ZZ Top, which if you're a young listener, you're not going to get any of those references, but for my demographic, that's kind of
we get it.
Yeah, we get it. And it was at that point, like, I realized that we really needed to shift what a beard meant for society. So our early tagline was we wanted to change the way society views beardsmen, and really like let people know that you can have a beard and you can be a doctor, you can be a lawyer, you can be an entrepreneur, you can be a designer, you can be a dude. Like like a beard doesn't mean you fit these traditional stereotypes of what a bearded guy is. So we started out with Beardbrand really focusing on that particular niche. We called them the urban beardsmen, and targeted our products for that, and really kind of targeted our messaging on that. So it's like because that was me, so I was really kind of talking to myself and my own experiences and journeys, and kind of the challenges that I went through, like how to convince your boss that you're going to grow a beard out when there's a kind of a culture that you can't wear facial hair in the office, which now in 2024 seems a little silly because I think anyone can grow a beard. But, 12 years ago, 13 years ago, that was not the case.
Right.
And especially for a lot of guys who are kind of in their 50s and 60s, 70s, who grew up where you shaved your face for the military and, you really had that corporate life. A lot of our past and current customers are older guys who for the first time in like 60 years of life finally grew their beard out for the first time. And, those theories, I think of like David Letterman. Like, I don't know if you follow David Letterman at all, but he's got this big gnarly beard now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he ever had facial hair when he was on TV. So it's like, he's a perfect example of who we're targeting and speaking to.
Yep. That's amazing. I think it is interesting, the evolution of the things that are accepted in society. And, we briefly talked my beard brand that I started.
Well, there's only one beard brand. I got to correct you. Right there.
I'm sorry. The beard, it was
the beard company. The beard company.
The products that I were selling that aligned in the beard marketplace was Savage Man Grooming, kind of with the same ideology of like the savage in you, but you still can adhere to these principles in life. Obviously, yours much, much more successful than my endeavor. Didn't end up taking off, but
well, you started at a hard time. Like it's been hard for us. I mean, really, I kind of feel like I shot myself in the foot by being on Shark Tank and kind of telling the world it's like a double-edged sword. Like we were able to get out to customers and potential customers, but we also kind of let everyone else know that this was a real market. Like before that, like people would scoff at the idea of dudes putting products in their beard, and now it's just kind of the normal thing you do because it totally enhances the experience.
Yeah, there's a need for it that I think a lot of people were unaware of. In the beginning, it's like, oh, you're putting oil in your beard, but there are factors in play that, the dandruff, there's the dry skin. There are actually so many benefits to using these products that prior to that time frame, I don't think was like commonly discussed.
No. And I mean, so you joined about 4 years ago, and there are literally probably thousands of manufacturers of beard care products now. I don't even bother like keeping track. There's just so many of them.
Yep, there definitely are. And so what has that evolution looked like? So you were able to build a brand and business that was already in the market as these other ones started to pop up. What did that look like in terms of either the marketing efforts that you were setting forth, or just taking a look at the market and saying, hey, we need to start doing other things in order to, really still have the eyes on us?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, um, in the early days, it was more challenging, and now it's easier for me to say and to do. But it's like I don't really worry about my competitors.
Yeah.
I don't care
Beautiful.
what they're doing. I have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
Um, I don't really like even compare our products to our competition. I do try to, when we develop new products, I do try to do a little bit of research to make sure we're doing something innovative. I don't want
Hmm.
to copy um, somebody else. I don't want to create what's already been created in the marketplace.
Sure.
So trying to find something that's unique and innovative is important to me. But also, there's thousands of companies with thousands of different products. There's
Yeah.
probably like a good chance that you create something that someone else has created just by accident. So
For sure.
I think, in the early days, it was hard for me. I would get worked up over, what competitors were doing, or, if they took inspiration from our products or our
Yep.
content, I would get a little razzed up about that. And then, I don't know, at a certain point, it just became like, I can't control my competitors. I can't control
Right.
what they're going to do. If someone like legit steals our trademarks or our brand, we'll protect that. But beyond that, they're free to kind of do whatever they want to do. And there's enough. I've also like maybe it was getting older or my testosterone dropping as I age or something like that. But it's just like there's enough room in the world for multiple companies, and
Yep.
having a $10 million company versus a $12 million company, and like what is that really different?
Yep.
Or even like a $10 million versus a $50 million company. Yeah, you make a little bit more money, but like at the end of the day, why are you in business? And I'm in business to be free. I'm not
Hmm.
in business to make as much money as possible. So it doesn't take a lot of money to be free. It doesn't
Yep.
take a big business to be free. So once that monkey was kind of like once I went through that growth experience, then priority shift and strategy shift and mindset shift, and then a burden kind of comes off your shoulders.
It's really funny you said that because, I was at a conference last month and just talking with different entrepreneurs, e-com brand owners, and that is one of the pivotal things that was discussed is like there's enough to go around for everybody. And once you can accept that, there really is a weight lifted off of your shoulders. There's kind of like, okay, hey, then this is what I'm focusing on. It doesn't matter all the noise in the marketplace. This is my mission and vision of what I want my business to be. And that's from my experience, an important step in a direction of really being able to do something special.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that, but also, some businesses are bad ideas, and there's not the
Oh,
market for it. So,
yeah,
like, there
yeah,
is enough to go around, but maybe not, depending on how you execute it or what you go after. Because you saw, like, in going into the beard grooming space, like, you would have to friggin' grind
yeah,
like crazy to be able to capture any kind of success in the beard space in 2024. It's just
without a doubt.
it's really trying to squeeze blood from a stone, or whatever the saying is.
Yeah, yeah, water
Um,
from a stone. Yep.
so it is important to kind of pick something that, in my opinion, that you're excited and passionate about doing, because it is going to be hard, and especially some industries are harder than others.
Hmm.
Um, Ideally, you kind of pick up an easier an easier one, but
Yep.
there's no such thing as an easy business, I don't think.
Yeah, for sure. So going back to kind of like that first 5, 6 years in business, obviously now you have a number of different verticals you're using to continue Beard Brand's growth. What were some of the most effective kind of strategies you implemented early on that kind of set you on the trajectory that's gotten you to where you are now?
Yeah, I mean, I think Beard Brand historically has been able to do the hard things well. Like those are easy to us. And when I say hard things, I mean like organic content production,
Yep.
specifically around our blog, um, PR, and video content. So
Yep.
social. And so we invested a lot in that. We've been able to grow our YouTube channel. We have 2 YouTube channels, one with a couple 100,000 subscribers and one with 2 million subscribers. And our blog, we've got 1,000 articles that are like well written, high quality articles. And I think that played an important pivotal role in establishing expertise. When you have 100,000, not 100,000, when you have thousands of competitors, why are they going to believe Beardbrand versus, Savage Man? And well, Beardbrand's been around for 10 years. Beardbrand's written thousands of articles. Beardbrand's got other content creators who use a product and agree with the products. They've got the founder who's got a face of the company. He's out and about. He's got a beard. Like all these elements are ways to build trust with your customers. So it takes a lot more than pretty packaging and remarkable product claims to win in a very highly competitive space. Like you really have to go above and beyond. And I feel like we're pretty good at doing that at the downside of, or at the expense of being good at like data oriented things. So we were never really good on Amazon. We were never really good on PPC and Meta. And so we kind of, our competitors have been able to capture the market share on those channels.
Yep. Now, what was it that got you to say, hey, content is going to be, because I've watched your videos, I've watched the barbershop. I mean, they're really quality and you've been doing it for so long. What was that thought process in the beginning? Was it simply, hey, we want to get this product in front of as many of our target audience as possible, and this is the best way to do it? Or was it a thought out content strategy that said, hey, this is going to be our main focus here?
No, I mean, I wish it was something intelligent like that, but it was simply like I had more time than money. So I did the things that required more time than money.
Yep.
So I didn't have money for ads. It was like I had money to hang out on Reddit and talk to
Yep.
people in the beer community. And I had time to pull up my laptop and record a video and talk about the things. And we never talked about it from like the perspective of an expert. Always talked about it from a perspective of, me being a normal guy and being your friend, or, hopefully, being someone who you'd want to hang out with, rather than someone who's like, oh, I'm a PhD chemist and, here's the science behind all the products. It's just like, here's my experiences. And if you think like me and you see the world like me, then you'll probably align. And if you have hair like me and a beard like me, then you'll probably align. So that was kind
Yep.
of like how we started. It was just like, those were really our only channels available to us, was things that cost nothing, except for our time.
Yep. Yeah, it's perfect. I mean, what would you say the advantage of you being the face of the brand for that first initial period? And this is I ask because it's a topic of conversation that we usually have with e-com brands. Is there's an interesting split between the founders who do not want to be the face of their brand, and they're trying to build something with trust, but there's no face there to believe,
Yeah.
versus your scenario and a few other e-com, friends that I have, they're the face. And how did you feel like that benefited you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, the answer is both. Both are fine and both are right. For me, I have 2 business partners who are not the face of the brand,
Hmm.
so I totally understand their preference to kind of work behind the scenes and having their privacy. You know, uh, there is a little bit of ego in me that enjoys creating content and enjoys, people seeing the content and kind of like getting recognized out in public, like 3 times a year is a fun experience for me. So I do enjoy the limelight. I do enjoy being in front of the camera. So it is like doing the things that I enjoy, uh, first and foremost. And then the kind of the secondary benefits is like, like I know more about this company than anybody else. I know more about how we're producing this product than anybody else. Like I'm going to be with the company longer than anybody else. Like when you hire talent, there's a risk that they could, leave. There is that risk with other co-founders and stuff like that. Nothing is permanent, but there's definitely a stickier situation with a founder as the face. But we've also brought in, non-founders as faces of the brand, Carlos and Greg, and we had Jack and Jeff and Joel and all the barbers that I got, Bob and Jesse and Cisco. So they all kind of represent the brand as well, and so we've kind of like leaned on a little bit of both as we've been able to get more resources.
That's awesome. It's it's one of the things we're trying to do here is integrate more of the team into the content, less just a single face, which is at the moment mine.
Yeah.
It's an interesting approach. What would be some of the advice you would give to somebody who maybe doesn't have that confidence to be in front of the camera, to be their brand? Someone starting out who didn't maybe have that initiative that you did to just pick up a camera and start recording.
Yeah, don't. Like, business is too hard for you to do things you don't want to do.
Mhm.
So uh, what are the needs of the company, and then what are your skill sets? How do you find things you can do within your company that align with your skill sets and your passions, and then try to figure out how other people can do the things that are not your passions. So when it comes to content creation, there's a lot of different ways to create content.
Right.
You can do video and be a face of the 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 company. You could be a video editor and on the back end and work with another content creator. You could be a photographer and take pictures and tell your story through photography. You can be a writer and tell that story through the written word. You can be a web developer and tell that story through the websites you build. So there's a lot of ways for you to, kind of execute your creative vision in that storytelling, but it shouldn't be done in ways that exhaust you, because you're
Yeah.
not going to last. You're going to get bored of it. You're going to get tired of it. You're going to give up. And then you're going to effectively have created all that content for nothing. So the
Mhm.
first thing you need to do is figure out what do you enjoy, and then do those kind of things. So if you aren't even a content creator, then screw content and think about, how do I sell on Amazon, and just worry about the listings and the data and the PPC and all those things. Because if you're a data oriented person, that's how you need to be growing your business.
Yep. That's a perfect answer. I know there's like a workshop that aligns with like the four quadrants of a square. And it's like, what are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? What are you not good at? What do you not enjoy doing? And I remember doing that in the beginning of the business. And that was key. And then
Yeah.
put the things around place that will help you execute on things that you don't enjoy doing that still have to get done.
Yeah. And I think the hard part comes the time with entrepreneurs, and this is probably true with the majority of entrepreneurs, is they're good at a lot of things,
Yep.
but they don't enjoy doing it. So it's
Yep.
like, how do you, where you're really good at something and probably better than the people that you hire, how do you give that up knowing that you're better, but you just hate it? It just
Yep.
like brings you immense pain to do.
So
And
we
I would
all
just say is like, at a certain point, like, you can be doing things that you enjoy doing better than anybody else. And it's going to be okay that your business has elements of it that don't perform as well as you. So it's like, that's, if you're in that six-figure range and you're getting close to making that higher, like, those are the things you need to think about, is like, how do I get the things that drain me off my plate, and keep the things that energize me?
Yeah. And you mentioned you think every entrepreneur has this. I mean, I think there's two facets of it. For me personally, like for whatever reason, websites and website design is like my arch nemesis. I hate it more than anything. And for years, we just kind of figure it out and tinker it. And that's leading to the next point is I think part of our mentality is that figure it out aspect, which actually can be extremely prohibitive to your business's success. It's like,
Yeah.
I'll
You
just
want
figure
to
it out.
you want to come in as the savior, and rescue everything. Like,
Yep.
that's what you had to do in the early days when you're a team of one. You're the savior to everything, but eventually you got to let your team have those wins.
Yeah. So in your experience, what was it? You mentioned the two other partners. What was it that time frame looked like as you start to bring on that team? And who
Yeah.
were some
So
of the roles that you filled?
we were very fortunate to experience a lot of rapid growth in our business. I think we launched in January of 2013. and or launched our store in January 13. And by October, I think we were doing like $50,000 or $60,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So, and by the end of the year, we were on a $1 million run rate. So the first person we hired was an executive assistant. She pretty much just did all the things I didn't want to do, which was uploading posts to Tumblr, customer service, and maybe helping with like planning trips or buying airline tickets and things like that. So,
Yep.
and she's kind of grown and took on different roles, and like kind of found her place over the years as well. Um, but yeah, in the early days, that kind of the first person you want to hire is a jack of all trades type of person that can handle a lot of different things.
Yeah. At that time, were you guys using a 3PL or were you still shipping out on your own?
Yeah, pretty much from day one, we worked with 3PL. We were fortunate to find a company that would work with someone as small as us, because those
Mm-hmm.
first few months we were doing like $2,000 a month,
Yeah.
which is like 100 orders, so like 3 orders a day. And now some 3PLs won't touch you unless you're doing like 500 orders a day, which is just
Right.
kind of crazy to think about. So, being able to find someone to help us out in those small days was really nice, because I didn't want to be tied to the business, and shipping
Yeah.
out orders was one of those things that I felt like really tied me to the business, because you have to be there and you have to get those orders out.
Yeah.
I'd say like, yeah, probably for the first 3 months or so, we were doing our own orders, to the point where it's a little bit of a contention with me and the fourth founder um, that we had, who eventually kind of stepped out of the business. I was like, we got these orders, send them out. Like, they should go out within 24 hours, but it wasn't a high priority for them.
Mm.
So like those are kind of early stage days. Those are the good old
Yeah.
days.
Yeah. It is interesting because you want to get those orders out quickly, because it's your customer. They just purchased this. They should get that order. But to go to UPS or the post office, whatever you're doing, it is extremely cumbersome. So well done on finding an early stage 3PL that would take that volume of orders coming through. I think as brands and they're starting up, like there's that excitement you had mentioned, getting the Shopify ding in the middle of the night. Like there's that excitement. It's like, oh, I have to go bring these packages to UPS, but that wears off extremely quickly. That wow factor is after a couple of weeks of going to the post office every day, it becomes extremely monotonous.
Yeah, I mean, I think depending on who you are, there are some people who like routines and systems and processes. I the the dropping stuff off to the post office wasn't the most challenging thing for me. I think getting customer service tickets with a
Mm.
problem and wanting to solve that problem immediately was probably like the biggest burden for me. It's like I see a problem happening and it's like I have to fix this problem, and like not being able to like calm myself down. So like being
Yep.
able to like almost like be ignorant to like all the micro problems that happen, like shipping issues or stuff lost in mail or someone wanting to exchange a product, like that was taking a huge burden off my way. And the business is fine. Like at the end of the day, you're going to
Right.
lose customers. You're going to have customers that have a bad experience. It's just kind of the name of the game, and you try to minimize that as much as possible, but it's going to happen.
For sure.
So just you lose a customer and try to win another one.
Yeah.
Like fortunately for me, like every year there's guys growing their beards out for the first time. They're hitting puberty or whatever. So
Yeah. Very cool. Now, as time went on, so we covered a little bit about the early stages of Beardbrand. As time went on, I know that you've gone into retail. You're still doing online direct to consumer. You have your barber shop. How did that begin? What did that culmination look like, or that evolution of Beardbrand?
yeah, I mean we've always wanted going back to our core values, freedom. We've always wanted to control our own destiny. So we've had a preference for D2C um, throughout everything we've done. we were approached by Target in like 2017, 2018, something like that, um, to be carried in all their stores. And we didn't want to do like a half-ass integration. So we there's I think they wanted us online or something, online only, and we're like, we're not really going to do that. Like if you're going to buy from us online, you're going to go to beardbrand.com.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't want to really mess with a lot of online channels. Um, and eventually they wanted to carry us in all their stores, and that's when we launched with Target back in the day. So that was a big channel for us for a number of years. And we just kind of focused on Target as a channel, beardbrand.com as a channel. And then we had some smaller retailers like barbershops and
Mm-hmm.
salons and things like that. We did eventually open up our own barbershop in 2020, but the purpose behind that was more of like a studio for the content we were producing than it was like, oh, hey, we're going to do a barbershop and make money through the barbershop. I wouldn't really recommend getting into bricks and mortar retail. It just really does change the dynamics. Kind of talking about having to be in person, especially if you want it to be profitable experience. If you can
Right.
use it for other things from like a content perspective or, a unique experience for your top customers, things like that, it can make sense. But generally speaking, bricks and mortar retail is probably even a harder business model than D2C. I've got to imagine it's incredibly hard, especially if you're making your
Yep.
product. So I don't know how, you know, I have a lot of admiration for brands like, Bed Bath and Body Works and Aveda and, these companies that have really heavy bricks and mortar retail and they're making their own products.
Yeah. It's definitely a different dynamic. Let me ask you a question. So, with the focus on the content and really the organic and SEO strategy for things, a lot of what we're seeing in the marketplace now is an increased customer acquisition cost. Not to get kind of nerdy in the numbers, have you been able to mitigate, higher CPMs, higher cost per clicks all across all of these platforms by sticking to what you guys are really good at on the content side of things?
No, I mean, like I said, like paid's never been a good channel for us. Like we've never been great at it. We actually killed our paid spend in November of 2021. So we weren't doing any advertising in 2022. And then we picked it back up in 2023, summer of 2023. So, um, we kind of like skipped a good portion of what was going on in terms of like rising prices. And we've been trying to figure out how to grow on those platforms and those channels. It has become like a top channel for us in terms of customer acquisition from, really it was like summer of 2023. That was going to be how we're going to focus on new customer acquisition.
Okay.
We've been working with kind of like the bid cap strategy, where basically,
Hmm.
you kind of set the price that you're willing to pay and then upload as much content as possible. And that seems to align with how we produce content and kind of see what sticks and let Facebook figure it out or Meta figure it out.
Yep.
So we've had a little bit of success. We're not back to our peaks of 2021, 2022. Um, but we'll get there. We'll get it
Yep.
figured out.
Yeah. It's so for anybody who's listening who doesn't really know, there's like Facebook has a number of different bidding strategies. Most people just go highest volume and you let the algorithm completely optimize what it believes it can get the lowest cost per purchase at. Then you have bid cap, which is where you set the specific auction that you want to pay for that acquisition. And then there is a third version of that, which is cost cap bidding, which will average out a 7-day cost per purchase goal. So $30, $20. And maybe this might be the perfect segue to how have you guys been able to identify your customer acquisition cost based on the lifetime value of your customer, and how do those numbers correlate to putting together a plan like Meta where you're kind of restarting it again?
Yeah. So because we're restarting it again, um, the strategy that I wanted to have was to make sure our attribution was really clean, that we could confidently feel that, hey, we're spending this amount of money and it's driving this amount of new customer revenue. So what that meant was we were not doing any Google marketing. It was 100% and entirely all on Meta. So I felt confident that any money we were putting into paid was driving sales.
Mm-hmm.
When you do two channels, and it definitely gets muddy because they're both going to try to take attribution. So we could lean entirely on Facebook's tools to know that they were delivering information accurately. And then we could kind of double check, like look at all the orders come in, see how many were attributed to Facebook. We also set up a post-purchase questionnaire with Grapevine to ask how they heard about us, and we can see the rise in social media as an attribution point for customers, new customers. So once we really felt good about the attribution and we know what we can trust, it's like then we can see what is that average order value for a new customer. And then when we look at the new customer average order value, we can look at, what is the return rate. I like to be, ideally, I like to break even or be profitable on that first one. It just allows cash flow to be a lot better and I can sleep a lot better
Net
at night.
positive.
So yeah. So I don't want to, break even on 90 days or 180 days or a year or something like that. But yeah, so if I can break even on day one, then I know eventually it will come back to me. So that's kind of where we got to, trying to get our costs down. Now, the interesting thing is with your business is, depending where you're at with your business and how high your operational costs are, it really does make sense to push that gas pedal down because your fixed costs are your fixed costs. So the more you make, the higher your revenue is, then the more profitable you're going to get. So if you have very lean, like if you've got a 3PL and you have no office and you're a one-man person, then yeah, maybe it's not as important to step on the gas because you don't have that fixed overhead. But once you start, getting more things that you have to pay every month, then it makes sense to over-index on erring on the side of a break-even customer acquisition rather than a profitable one.
Yep. It's really interesting insights. And for anybody listening, one of the things that we had to pivot on maybe last year, 18 months ago, is like the new store revenue versus new client revenue, and having an MER that wasn't only related to total store sales, but instead of new client acquisition only. So how much of these advertising, this paid media strategies are actually driving new customers opposed to just existing customers seeing the ads again? And I think those are the metrics that really are the ones where it's like, okay, hey, let's put our foot on the gas, or hey, let's just keep this on cruise control for now.
Yeah. So the metrics that I look at on a weekly basis are the new customer revenue, the repeat revenue, Amazon revenue, and then of course total revenue. And then I look at our Facebook spend, and then we do some calculations based on our spend and new customer revenue. What is our cost per customer acquisition for a new customer? So I know I'm getting some customers from like YouTube and social media and word of mouth and all that, but at the end of the day, we just focus it down to how much are we spending on Facebook and how much are we generating. So that's kind of our holy grail metric, is our new customer cost per acquisition. And then, of course, our average order value. So I don't even look at the average order value for repeat customers, just new customer average order value.
Yep. Now, for what would your advice be for not new stores, but sub $1 million in understanding all of these margins and numbers? I think we all got hit in the head when iOS updated. We don't have the attribution that we had. Credit card fees, merchant fees, all these different things. How important is it to know those down to the dollar?
Yeah. So my recommendation for anyone who's doing less than $1 million is you need to only be on one channel. So right now, if you're on Google and Facebook and Snapchat and TikTok and whatever else, kill all of them except for one that you feel like is the one you do best. And then master that channel to the best of your abilities and know it like the back of your hand. When you get down to one channel, you're going to really confidently know what is working and not working. So you can confidently say, I'm spending this amount of money and it's driving this. Because the reality is, if you have a business and you're not doing any marketing and you have zero sales, and then you start spending money on one channel, you know with 100% certainty that that is the reason you're getting customers. So, and then once you understand that, like I think for me, like the turning point with paid marketing was understanding this holy grail metric, which is how much money am I spending in paid, and how much in new customer sales I'm getting, not total sales, but new customer sales. And once that becomes your holy grail, then it gets really easy to figure out how much I can spend and not spend.
Yep. It's interesting. And then using the platform to gauge the creative success. Is that how you guys are looking at it? So you're looking at the finances on this side to gauge the platform success. And then on platform, business suite, that's how you're gauging the success of the creative?
Yeah. I mean, on like a per ad set level, we'll make those adjustments to the bid caps based on what we're seeing with Facebook's AOV numbers and all that. But yeah, I mean, the nice thing with bid cap is you can put anything up there and then it's like, well, I don't want to pay $5 for this because it's not driving anything. And then you forget about it. You don't have to worry about it overspending.
Right. Yeah. That's one of the keys I've discussed and coached with different brands in that, hey, you can set a $5,000 a day budget. It won't spend that if your cost cap or bid cap is lower than what the auction is. And then if it is able to get purchases at that bid cap, you're crushing it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like the thing that we've learned is like you kind of got to prime the pump.
Yep.
I was watching this cartoon with my kid. My Neighbor Totoro is a Japanese movie from 30 years ago. And there's a scene where the grandma asks the kid to get a bucket of water to throw into their pump, their water pump, to get it going. So it's like that bucket of water is your investment into the ad set to get it going. Like you're going to lose that, but it gets things going, and then you can see if it's actually going to, have a well with water in it, or if it's going to be dry.
Right. Very cool. I like the analogy. So where's Beardbrand going? What do you guys have planned for 2024 and therefore after? Yeah.
So 2023 was a complete cluster of a year. Like everything that could go wrong went wrong. The good news is we were able to, resolve a lot of the issues that we had and fix them. So 2024 is an exciting year in terms of like getting things back in stock, getting our products fixed, launching new products, launching new fragrances, and just really kind of doing what I'm saying is getting really good at meta. I want to max meta out. So it's like right now we've really been focusing on one product, our utility oil, as a way to acquire customers. And we've got 9 other products that I want to spend, $1,000 a day per product. And scale all those up. So there's a lot of work to be done, a lot of room left on Meta to be able to grow it and scale it and see where that takes us and keep our business pretty operationally lean. And then there's like operational improvements for how we send out our products and, work with the right manufacturers and things like that. But it's, the funny thing is like 12 years in, I think it's the things that you need to be doing in the early years that are still true to us. And then, even as a multi-million-dollar business, like it's still the same thing, still running effectively the same company. And then maybe like after I can get all 9 products spending $1,000 a day on Meta, then it's like, okay, well now let's try Google and YouTube, now let's try TikTok marketing and try to get that up and running. But I think it's probably going to take more than a year to be able to do that. I think it's going to take a lot of work.
Yeah. And the fluctuations on Meta still occur. I think last Sunday, the platform actually went down for a period of time. Like, so the reliance, it's still kind of, there takes some time to figure that out.
Yeah, and I mean it's there's a lot of room. Like Meta is a big platform, and with 100% certainty, you can build $1 million business on Meta alone. So don't get distracted by, like as much as you guys like to listen to podcasts and get ideas for new things, and there are great, brilliant ideas out there. You just got to stick to the thing that is going to make the biggest impact on your business.
Yeah. I found that in our experience over the last 8 years in business with e-com brands was that to get to 1 million, like you said, one channel, and that's when then you start to diversify. Now, that's not to say you still have to do email and SMS, potentially sub 1 million. Over that, you have to potentially start looking at other avenues to increase just even the visibility based on how many touch points we see occur during the purchasing cycle.
Yeah, and I would even argue that you could probably take that one marketing channel up to 8 figures as well. Like, I don't think you need to be on multiple. I mean, $10 million, if you think about it in the grand scheme of like businesses and operations, is tiny. It's still, it's not even a small, like, I think small, like from a stock market standpoint, like a small company is 50 million a year. So like, think about that. There is a ton of opportunity out there on these platforms. And it's probably better to like launch a new product and stay on the same marketing channel than it is to try a new channel for the same product. I don't know. It depends. Depends on your vision for how you want to build the business, but
for sure. Yeah, I think the US government actually still considers under 50 million an SMB, which is just such a mind-blowing number that is still considered a small business.
Yeah. Yeah, small. I guess I was thinking small cap market funds and stuff like that.
Very cool. So what are some advices, we're wrapping up the show, that you would give to a fellow entrepreneur in just getting going on this journey?
Yeah, I mean, Nike's got it best. It's just do it. You just my buddy Noah Kagan wrote a book called $1 Million Weekend, I think. It came out, which could be a good book to kind of get you started. Back in the day, I read Lean Startup by Eric Rice as a guide. Also, Eat People by I think it's Andy Kessler. It was a good book for me that kind of helped me with the mindset of like outsourcing and just focusing on the things that you do best. But yeah, you just got to do stuff, and then you got to learn. You got to take your lumps and learn from it, and never make a mistake that can put your company out of business. But you got to take risk and do things that you're willing to lose money on.
Yeah, it's perfect advice. So as we're wrapping up today, Eric, where can people find Beardbrand? Where can they follow you and your YouTube channel?
Yeah, so beardbrand.com. If you're a dude, I've got products for you. Doesn't matter if you have a beard or no beard. Or if you're a dudette, there's buy for the bearded people in your life. But also, our products don't know your gender either, so you can use our products too. I'm on Twitter or X at Bandholz, which is my last name. And then I would recommend, I've got a podcast as well called eCommerce Conversations. So if you dig my vibe and style, follow me on eCommerce Conversations. And then, Beardbrand, anything else for social media.
Perfect. And I highly advise checking out the podcast as well. Been a follower for years, and just the information and the guests you have on, a lot to be learned through that. So
you're too
highly
kind.
recommend checking that out.
Kind. The best podcast no one's ever heard of.
Well, maybe we'll get a couple listeners. Awesome, Eric. Thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate all your time and knowledge on this, and good luck with Beardbrand.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me on.